The following movie is rated R.
Welcome back to the R-Rated podcast. Today's guest is Missy Andrea, and she does makeup, special effects. Do you do hair a little bit too, or just makeup? And
Not well, but I do a little bit of hair.
Because I'm like, she has mermaid hair. Inches. How many inches? Honestly, this is like Nicki Minaj, like her, you know that one look she had at the VMAs when it was literally down here? That's what it reminds me of.
That's pretty much what I got growing on naturally.
I wish I could grow that. I honestly
it's
can't.
Taken me years. Well, there's a reason I can't do hair. I got too much. I wouldn't know what to do with it.
I'd be like, wait, and then you have to throw it over and then throw it over your head.
I straightened it before I came here and I was like, this is too much. This is like the first time I've straightened it in like 4 years.
Though.
Thank you.
And that's why I'm like, wow, it looks so long because usually you have it curly. I mean, it's still long when it's curly.
I usually leave it natural, but today it looked raggedy. So I was like, I need to straighten it. And I'm like, this is taking forever. This is too much. Like, I haven't straightened my hair in years.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like literal years. So I was like, oh, I don't know if I like this.
No, it's definitely a vibe. I'm feeling it. It looks great.
Maybe I'll bring it back.
Yes, bring it back. Well, today, I know we're going to talk about some things, especially about rates and like how to go about rates, how to like kind of set the bar for yourself. And, when do you know if you're selling yourself short with stuff like that?
Yeah, well, so far I just do makeup for film and television.
Right.
Sometimes
I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Just
do makeup.
Sometimes it does include a little bit of hairstyling as well. Typically though, it's pretty basic. Like, we'll do ponytails, a little bit of curling, straightening, a little bit of braiding, like basic stuff like that. Anything that gets super intricate, I usually have to practice for. And I will, but overall, I pretty much market myself straightforward as a makeup artist. Like, I don't.
That way, there's no surprises.
Yeah,
like, I didn't say
if anyone asks me if I can, I have to make sure like what it is because hello, she doesn't want to speak.
She's like, bye.
Yeah, no, she's all right. But basically, with stuff like that definitely changes the rate too.
Right.
But I make it very clear that I market myself for makeup. Artistry. I don't market myself as a hairstylist. I'm not great at it. I tried. I sucked. So so I do makeup.
Do they make you take like a hair class in makeup school?
Yeah, I took a 3-week course.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so
I don't cut or color.
You do have like that.
Yeah.
3-week training. It's better than not having anything. So that's good, right?
Yeah, and it's not as hard as it looks, but also yes it is for somebody who's just not good at hair. Like,
no, that's kind of how I feel. I feel like I can do hair on other people but I can't really do it on myself. It's really weird. It's just like
I will say it's easier in terms because you get to go all around the head, but other than that,
I always have flyaways in the back.
Yeah,
I'm just or I straighten my hair and there's a bump in the back. I'm like,
yep, that was me this morning.
I'm so I get it.
No, yeah. So I strictly even on my business card, it's just makeup artist, and that's what I do. And
does it say special effects makeup too, or just makeup art?
It just says makeup artist because I have I could do beauty, camera ready, special effects. So I just kind of not that I wouldn't mind being thrown into the only special effects category,
right?
But I do it all.
You do it all. No, that's good that put it all out there. Like, I can do it all. I can do all the makeup tricks, which is good because I think when you hire a makeup artist, it makes it so much easier if they could do both, because then you have to hire more people to do daily makeup versus special effects makeup, and it starts getting complicated. I feel like so doing both. But then also it might be a little bit more helpful having that extra hand, but do you have an assistant if it comes to that, or
So typically it depends on the project. I normally right now I'm a freelancer. Actually, I should put that out there. I'm not with an agency. I'm a freelancer. I do all my marketing, all my jobs myself. You get it.
Yeah, I get it.
So typically I'm usually a one-woman show up there.
Right.
Every now and again, I will have an actual hairstylist depending on what they need, and especially because they're fast. I give a lot of props to hairstyling. I wish it could be me, but I can't do it.
Yeah.
And aside from that, they usually will put together a team if it's a big enough project. They'll have even a little makeup artist team, and they'll have a little hair team. Right. But typically because of freelance, I'm usually kind of alone doing both. Yeah.
And how do you go about pricing? How do you since you're freelancing, when clients come to you and they're let's say they want just no special effects makeup, just regular makeup, it's just it might be a story about a couple, so you're gonna have to just do
like camera ready
Yeah,
stuff.
camera ready stuff, maybe like some lipstick here and there. Like how would you go about that?
My rate, I have pretty much set rates for film. Obviously things range, things are different. Like house calls are a little bit different rates, which I do a lot of those as well. And then bridal rates are different, but since I mainly focus on film, I have a very set rate, and my rate starts at $25 an hour, and I also charge a kit fee. Because kit fee is
it's like the standard things you need, right? Like to get the job done. Yeah. What's included in like your kit fee or in the kit? Just so like I feel like people don't know what the kit fee is. So like you hear about it, like especially males in the industry. They're
they don't. They're like, what do you mean?
Like, what's the kit fee? Like, you know what I mean? And then they're just like, can't you just use like her lipstick or like,
so that's kind of what happens with the kit fee. The kit fee essentially is my hourly rate is what pays me for my time, my service, my expertise. But the kit fee goes to replenishing because
the products.
Because I mean, I'm freelance, no one pays for this. I put my kit together myself. Like if I don't get like that pay for that comes out of my own pocket, out of my own money, and makeup is very expensive.
And people don't know that,
makeup
especially that makeup adds up too. Because I mean, obviously you got your like some drugstore makeup, but like at the end of the day,
but it still adds up at the end of the day. Like even my like $6 pencils that I bought 10 of, like exactly that adds up $60. Yeah, like that's and that's the drugstore product. And even there's certain things that for film and television that I use, like my foundation. I use the RCMA foundation palette, and that alone was like I think $80, which isn't crazy, but also it's not cheap.
And do you have to get everyone's like shade of color? Like how does that work?
So me personally, every makeup artist does it differently. They like to buy like a whole range from a certain brand. I personally like RCMA because I like to mix and make the foundation on the spot. Because then there's no worries about like if there's the wrong undertone in this one, if there's a slightly different shade, if it's a little bit off, because I can make it exactly to how their skin shade needs to be, which is why I pay for the $80 RCMA foundation, because that I have that range from really, really pale to really dark, and I can mix all those together. And then I have a bunch of like color correctors, which I helped use for like undertone if you're olive green or olive and green are the same, but like yellow I meant like red. You know that's what amazing. I mean?
That's so you can literally just like stand there and then like look at the actor, and then be like, okay, this matches, and then like kind of mix it together, or like these two shades match, and then like mix it together to make that shade.
Make their shade. Yeah.
Okay. Has there ever been like a situation where it wasn't like a perfect match, or?
There's always a few times where I had a client that I've worked with a few times come over the other day because she needed me to help just get her done so she can run and do her film. That was considered like a house call appointment. But she came to my house, so it was just
I love
it. Yeah, so basically, the last time I had known her and I knew her skin tone, so I whipped together what I originally put. But it's summer, and she had gotten a little bit tanner, but I always like to check, so I made a tiny little mixture and I put it on there, and I was like, yeah, no, we're taking that piece off. But I never go full send if it looks even a little bit wrong. I always just test a little bit on the neck. And if it looks a little pale or a little too dark, I take it off immediately and I make my new set. So I try not to go through the whole face and then be like, I always match to the neck anyway, because that's where you should be matching.
Oh, is that where you start? Okay, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so your neck shade is typically what your shade is going to be normally, because you're supposed to blend everything down to your neck. Right. And, you're the most exposed to the sun. It hits you directly, but at your chin creates the shadow a little bit. So it tans a little bit differently sometimes.
That makes sense.
So you match here and then the rest of the way up. So I'll probably do about this much of a section to see how it blends out, and then you can tell pretty quickly.
And how do you go about like price? Like, let's say you're on set and then somebody accidentally, like somebody on crew or like production breaks something of your stuff. Like, is there like a replacement fee, or like do you just kind of deal with it on your own? Like, how does that work?
Honestly, that's never happened yet. I hope it doesn't happen.
I know, I'm very strict. I just have to ask these questions.
No, it's okay. I'm super strict about my kit. Like, I'm nice about it, but I don't let anybody touch it. Like, I pretty much like make it known, like, please don't just grab my stuff. Like, if you need something, like, I'm more than happy to like let you know, or like I can do it for you. But I try not to let anybody near my kit at all, like just messing with it, because that's how things get broken. And there's a lot of cross contamination, And
especially during COVID.
it's all about sanitization with me and my kit. So
Yeah.
I'm not okay with that. But I mean, more than anything, that would probably be covered in like in the kit fee, depending on what it was. If it was something where like they broke my airbrush compressor, or like my airbrush itself, I would
like what if it was
to,
on the, like, let's just say it's like the tip of it where you spray or whatever, like like was hanging on the floor and then someone accidentally stepped on it and it like some part of it got a little messed up, or it like wouldn't, like
I would, oh man,
like I feel like that kind of has to maybe if there's airbrush involved, I feel like there should be like a contract or like something saying like if something breaks, just in case, because it adds up, and since you said you're freelancing, you're gonna, it comes out of your pocket. So
so I mean, I pretty much I have thought about these kind of scenarios, and I have said if that ever happens, like obviously I'm gonna make sure it's a way where nobody can like let it knock over, do anything like that. If anything were to happen, that would be something I'd have to take up with production and be like, look, like I need this replaced, or I need like a certain amount for it. Like if I just need this part, then like I'll take the money for this part. But 9 times out of 10 with airbrushes, you gotta replace like the whole thing. You might as well, because like there's certain things, like there's this teeniest little thing. Like it's so it's like sensitive. It's like the size of a freaking needle, and it's like $30 to replace. So it's like, it's expensive. Yeah, it adds up. My kit is the most expensive thing I own. Oh, like, really? If anyone broke into my house, the first thing I do is be like, "Where's my kit? No, like, where's my makeup? Put it in a safe. Yeah, like, no, put a code on it. It is the most expensive thing I own. Like, it probably costs as much as, and it probably just keeps adding, you know, on and on, because you're getting more stuff, and like, it's like a collection. Yeah, almost. It's like rent almost. Yeah, I think like that's crazy. Like, I didn't even add everything up. Like once I got past like 300, not even like full point of the beauty section, I was like, I'm not gonna stress about this. Like, I don't want to keep. I don't want to know, because then I'm gonna bring all of it with you, or like how do you make the decision? Like, okay, I'm gonna need this versus on this, like for when you're going to set, you're like, okay, I'm gonna pack this and that, or like do you pack everything because you're like, I might need everything? I don't know. Pretty much pack everything. Okay. I make sure. Oh my god, I can only imagine just like a giant like suitcase. No, you've seen that little that little. It's a big suitcase. It's a big suitcase. Yeah, so I tend to next time you have a van, you're gonna be like, the whole van smelled. Yeah, exactly. No, basically, yeah, I do try to bring everything, because you never know what's gonna happen. The first thing I do though is I always map out like what they've told me that I need, and like what I know I need from that. That is the first thing I get in my kit, first and foremost, and then everything else I'm like, okay, now let me bring like what you think would extra. Like I always bring like stuff for like alcohol palettes or like cover ups and stuff for tattoos, because my first commercial, someone had tattoos and they didn't know about it until they got there, and so they're like, we need to cover this up. That's actually, I've been on set where it's happened and no one had the right stuff, and they just put foundation on it and it just smeared everywhere. And it was a fucking disaster. Yeah, no, that one was rough. I panicked because I was like, oh my god. What do you do in situations like that? Because you just, it's not your fault that, you know, no one told you that the actor had tattoos, or like, what if the actor has something, comes to set, you didn't tell you, and then do you like, are you getting the blame for that when it's like, oh, like they're not, like she's not able to cover the tattoos, or like the pimple or something? I don't know. So typically they make it work any way they can with that one. That was the one time I had that experience, and luckily like it was like my first commercial ever, like back in like 2019, right? And luckily the director was cool about it, and even they were nice about it, and they're like, we apologize, like we told you to just bring stuff for basic. Okay, so they were cool about it, and cool. I said, I do have some stuff, somebody can bring it to me, and they're like, yeah, let's do that, let's get the other actors done, and then when your cover up, normally it's not going to work like that though, and I was really lucky, because I was like having an anxiety attack. I know, I'd be like, oh my god, yeah, I was like, oh my god, this is the end of my career's over. Like, made some tattoo cover up. Like, I don't know, how does this work? Luckily that was pretty cool, but now that's why I bring everything. But typically, I mean, when it comes to like you said, like pimples and stuff, like blemishes, a lot of people do try to say certain things about, you know, the final product of how certain things look, and my biggest thing is I can cover up color, I can't get rid of texture.
I
mean, like, depending, there are certain things I can, you know, like if I go in really heavy with like a pot concealer and stuff, but like sometimes you just don't simply have enough time. And also with camera ready makeup, it's not supposed to look super heavy.
Right.
And super.
And it's like all of a sudden you have like all this like makeup right here where that one pimple is, but it's like, you know, more than that. Yeah. Like,
and even when you blend it out really well, like, I mean, I know to look at it and go, I can see that. So like for me, it bothers me.
Right. Yeah.
You know, but I mean, overall, it's usually okay with the director in the end, because in the end it's all about what they see on the camera. Right. There are a lot of, you know, actors and talent in general that sit there and they're like, well, I want this and I want that.
How do you deal with that? Because like I feel like that you're trying to be like not polite, like they're your client, but at the same time it's like, let me do my job.
Yeah, right? No, that's the one. Yeah, people don't like to wait for the finished product, and
which is crazy because I'm always like, let me see till the like I don't want to see myself until the end. Like I get, like, you know, I'm like I don't need to see myself on with one eyebrow. It never looks
good until the end.
Yeah, I'm like I get like you know there's steps involved. It isn't just like
no, with stuff like that. When it comes to working on set. Person to person, I just kind of, you know, I work with them. They're my client. I'm there to give them what they want, make them happy, even if it's against like what my professional opinion says. Like if I say I don't think that eyebrow color goes, like it's not going to match your hair, they're going to be different. If that's what they want, then I give it to them because that's what you do in a service. You know, if people ask me what I think, I give them my honest opinion, but I always tell them at the end of the day, it's your makeup. You know, if this is just for, you know, like you want to go out, or this is for something like simple that you're calling me for, like it's your makeup, it's how you like it. If it's for set though, I'm a little more particular and I let them know like that's something that we need to talk to the director about. Right. Because I'm not trying to get chewed out. No. You know what I mean? Like you can get really chewed out for stuff like that.
No, I get it. Totally. How do you price house calls versus like wedding pricing? Because I know you charge $25 an hour plus your kit for film, which is totally good and reasonable. Makes total sense. And then how do you go about the rest?
So for the rest, it's usually again about like product and time. Like more than anything, like house calls and stuff are mainly about like the product pricing.
Okay.
It depends on like what it's for too and stuff like that. Like I've kind of worked out where like I will start like, and even then I feel like this is even pretty low, but like for a basic like camera ready as I would call it, or like when you're not doing film, people just say no makeup, which is there's a lot of makeup that goes.
What does that even mean? No makeup.
It's basically the basis of camera ready, where it looks like you're not wearing any makeup.
Oh, like just eyebrows and like how? Like
it's a full face.
Oh, no, yeah. So it is makeup.
No makeup is a full face. It's
no. I want the no makeup look. So you want full makeup. Full natural makeup.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, no makeup. Like you know, on my day to day, like I did a little more today because I felt I looked a little raggedy, so I was like, I need to clean myself up. But usually on my day to day, I'll do a very basic, natural, no makeup look. But
do you get like haggled pricing wise because it's supposed to look like there's not makeup on, but you're actually applying all the makeup?
Yeah, people haggle for me a lot. So
tell me, I want to hear the juicy stories.
So this is pretty low, but I typically start at $50 for a house call because that'll
that's a great price. People are still trying to haggle that.
People are haggling it. So it starts out at $50 for a basic, and that includes the full face. You're gonna get a little foundation. You're gonna get a very natural blush, a lipstick that pretty much just emphasize, like I'm wearing a lipstick right now, and it doesn't necessarily kind of look like it just emphasizes that color in my lips, so it's less. Thank you. I love this color.
I know, I love it.
Elf. It was $3.
Oh wow. I need to
you get everything, you know. You get your eyebrows, you get like, you know, your little bit of blush. I won't necessarily do like contour or anything because like not really natural, but you do get, you know, you get your foundation, you get your concealers, you get your mascara, your little bit of liner depending on what it's for. You get a little bit of eyeshadow, like a natural brown to kind of emphasize as well, and you get a lip and your mascara. The only thing that's not included is I charge extra for the eyelashes.
Okay, which is, that makes sense because like, I mean, you're not waking up with like fake eyelashes on. So
well, and the thing about it too is that comes directly out of my kit, and you are gifted those eyelashes once I'm done with them. I can't take them back. I can't reuse them. You can reuse them. Yeah, I charge $5 for a set of eyelashes because
honestly, very reasonable. Totally reasonable.
It's mainly the price of what the lashes cost, and then like to keep them, and
then you, like the glue that you have to
the glue, and that $5 helps me replenish them. So I get haggled a lot about those prices, you know, like
it being too high, or like what, like what do they say?
People don't want to pay like
the extra $5 for the eyelashes.
They don't want to pay the extra $5. I've had
like,
people.
what do people say to you?
Recently I had somebody tell me, like I handle this professionally. This
Well,
is someone
yeah, of
I've
course.
worked with a couple times.
Yeah.
Like nothing negative to say about them, but this
Right.
is just the reality of stuff I deal
You also
with.
have to survive as well. Like, I mean, obviously, like these are your clients. So maybe some people are your friends, but at the end of the day, like you
like
still
this is
have
the reality.
to support yourself
And
as well.
yeah, like nothing
it's
ill
like-
about them.
It's
But
like
this
you
is what they
can't always
say.
do too many favors. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? It's like you have to think about like what makes sense for
That's
myself.
why I'm like, girl, you can raise your prices for sure.
Yeah, no, and I've thought about it. A lot of my price stuff comes
Yeah.
with like experience. And
Yeah. No,
but
but
I'm bucking up on year 3, so I think after year 3, and how my resume
and it's like
looks,
if you
I
have your
have the chops
portfolio too, like showcasing your work, and like if you're constantly on productions and sets, like you have been, like if you have something to show your track record of like, okay, I obviously know what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like I feel like that's where the whole experience thing gets like a little annoying, because like I mean I technically only have like 4.5 years of directing and writing experience.
Only again with the only.
Right. But it's like I don't like I wouldn't consider myself like not as good as someone that has had like, you know what I mean? It's like I know what to do as a director, but it's like it's just fucked up that that's how it's like viewed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like don't even compare yourself to like, oh, why? It's because of experience. Like, no, fuck that. If you're good, you're good.
No, and that's pretty much why I've also thought about raising prices. Like, I got a pretty good resume for someone who's only been doing this professionally for 3 years.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I got 2 commercials under on my belt. I got stuff I'm not even allowed to mention yet coming up. Like,
there's some people that have been in the industry for like, let's say 14 years, but they do, one makeup gig every 6 months. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's like, it's just very different.
Yeah,
like,
it's different.
Everyone's very different. So it's like, I feel like it's not really fair to like, put like the years of experience. It's more like, all right, let's see your portfolio, let's see like your resume, like what have you been up to,
say about you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I've had a lot of showcasing
is so much more important than just talking and like experience. It's like, let's see it.
No, and that's where it gets frustrating, like when people try to haggle me and stuff. Like I said, going back to what people say, again, these are people I still work with some of these people. Like I'm not going to name drop, I'm not going to say anything negative about them, but this is part of the reality of things that I have to deal with. Like people will say, how much is it for XYZ? Typically just how much is it for, natural makeup? And
versus like glam or
like I let them know what's
right away, so they're not surprised.
I tell them everything. Like I'll pretty much get asked like, how much would it be if I want you to just kind of help style my hair and do my makeup, and I'll give them my quote price, and I will have people come back at me and literally say, I'm not paying that much for that.
Actually saying I'm not paying that much.
Yeah, I'm not paying that for just this.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What do you even say back to that?
It's usually
I honestly wouldn't even know how to respond. I think I would take I need 20 minutes to process this.
I usually always respond with the price comes from my product and my time. Like I usually like the price is because of my product and my time.
Very reasonable.
And we'll do a little back and forth. I've never had it be ugly with anybody. Like I usually handle it really professionally, and I'm just like,
which is the right way, because it's like if you handle it professionally and communicate it very like, upfront, like this is what you're paying for, like there's no like surprises, people can't be mad at that. You know what I mean? I feel like it'd be like people could get mad if you were like, like we can talk about pricing like after, like we can negotiate, maybe talk about it like later on, like and then like later on happens and then like the pricing's still the same and then they get mad, like that wouldn't be right, like the communication wouldn't be there. But since you're already communicating it in the beginning, like this is my price, it's for the product, it's for my time, they shouldn't be like surprised at anything else and kind of just accept it. Like
and a lot of people will say like, they'll hit me back with like well, can we do this for this? How about this? What
do they think is like equal of price for like?
Well, usually what they'll do is they'll try to take down certain things. Like there is a like again someone I have worked with where they asked to do natural makeup and like help straighten their hair and whatnot, and like I said, I'm not a hairstylist. I charge severely low for hair, but it's because like I don't really market myself. And also for something like hairstyling, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of things I help, like I look on like Ulta online and see what they charge typically, and Ulta said
that makes sense.
Ulta said not to charge super high, so I'm gonna listen to that one for that. And basically it was up to $80 for both their hair and their makeup.
Oh wow. And that's amazing.
That was way too low, but that was because it was very natural. like there was like it was basically like a no makeup look. It's
Okay.
no makeup, and
yeah.
they just wanted their hair like
Yeah.
you know straightened to kind of emphasize it. But you know, like my freaking what is it? The spray, the heat protectant's like $15 alone.
Right.
And then I have to use like my barbicide or my 99 to clean my brushes. So I, you know, that it's a cheap price for hairstyling, but I have to take into the product that I'm using still. And then the time I'm sitting there straightening your hair and yada yada yada.
Going over. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was really cheap, and that's, you know, they were haggling about it, and you know, people will bargain like, well, what if I straighten my hair myself and you just kind of help me with the styling?
Oh my
And,
God,
yeah,
no.
and
I'd be like, are you serious?
That
like,
one is really hard though. Like that one I never really know how to navigate still, because there's, I mean, at the end of the day, how am I going to say, no, you still have to pay me the full price, even though all I'm going to do is help with your flyaway? But then that's like a way of getting my, like, my work for free, you know?
It's just like annoying though, because they're basically like saying, I'll help you like do half the work, but you just do like parts of it. So,
right, but I won't pay you for the little bit that you do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's like if like with makeup, it's like, oh, I'll do my own foundation. You just do my eyeliner and like my lipstick. It's like
that always stresses me out when people are like, I have my own foundation, because a lot of the times it's never right.
Oh,
and that's okay. It took me a long time to get my own color down.
Right.
But then, you know, people are accustomed to their own stuff, and
I'm sure people get like, I know what I'm doing, or like sassy about their How do you handle that? Like you're just like, okay.
Oh man. I mean, here's the thing about me in real life. I'm super like blunt and straightforward, and I'm very like, don't tell me this.
Yeah.
On set, I'm a little bit different. I try to keep it a little more, you know, mellow, because you know I'm working and I'm not trying to be rude to anybody. Right. But there are a few times where it gets frustrating. Like there was like a girl on one set that I was on, where she kept coming over and like telling me like how like techniques work and stuff like that. Oh, no. And you know, I eventually
that cannot go. This already can't go well.
and you know, I was just like, oh yeah, no, okay,
thanks,
cool. Like, and I'm doing my stuff, and then eventually like it got really like tense really quick.
Oh really?
Because I didn't mean this in an offensive way, but based on how she was talking to me, it seemed like she seemed like she knew what she was doing. And so I asked her, I was like, oh, so you went to school for makeup? Because that to me, that's kind of the way she was talking to me. She was like, like that.
Yeah.
And I think she took it the wrong way, because the tone changed.
Well, it's like, how were you supposed to take taking the techniques the right, like, you know what I mean? It's like the way you're gonna approach and you're gonna respond to how you're being treated and talked to. So it's like,
and she's like, well, I brought some stuff too, and I have this and I have that, and I was like, oh, okay, thank you. Like, I have my own product, but I appreciate you, just because like people do that, but I don't know where it's been, and it wasn't a professional kit, so I tend to stay away from that.
Yeah, because all things to think about, which is like when you let one actor use like their own, you know, whatever, like let's say eyeliner, and then it's like been somewhere else that someone else had used it the night before, who has like an eye infection or pink eye, and then spreads, and then it's like you're gonna get the blame for it because you're the makeup artist on set, right?
Yeah, and that's why I don't like use that stuff. But you know, I was like, sense. Oh, thank you. You know, I do have my own product though, but I appreciate it. And then when I asked her about the makeup thing, like I could tell like she got a little offended, which wasn't my intent, I'll be honest.
Well,
Then, you know, she just kind of like dropped her like any little nice like smile thing she had going on.
Wow.
And she was just like, well, no, I didn't, but it's a passion of mine. So, and I just kind of looked at her and I was like, okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my God.
And like, I didn't understand like why things were so tense. And, you know, eventually like, you know, there was a lot of like passive aggressiveness that kind of happened throughout there. Yeah. And she just kind of kept making her own little comments and stuff. And eventually I was like, oh yeah, no, you know, like, yeah, I've graduated. I went to school for this.
Right.
Like,
it's like,
I've done this. Like, I just kind of politely like
shut it down.
Yeah. Like without being rude about it. It's just, it's a very polite way of saying like, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Definitely. Do you get haggled like that on film sets too about pricing, or is it more like
I never go onto a set without a negotiated price set and written in a contract. I always make sure that
everyone
it is
knows.
set. No, like that is like the first thing I ask. Like when and if they give me a rate, or if they don't give a rate, that's always the first thing I ask.
Yeah.
Is what's your rate? How is it? And then there have been times where people have given me a rate that just didn't work out because it was too low.
Right.
And I've had to turn it down.
Right.
You
And
know?
you just say like, sorry, it's too low. Like,
Yeah,
are
I
you just honest with
usually
them about it?
yeah, I usually tell them like unfortunately like the price is not going to accommodate for my product or my time.
Right.
You know, and
Which is fair,
I'll
like-
give them the basic I'll give
Yeah.
them an honest rundown, you know,
Mhm.
like I have a day job. I'm a freelancer. I have to
Yeah.
have a day job.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, you know, I do have to take time off my day job for this and the pay isn't going to even
Isn't-
out. Like
Right.
unfortunately.
That makes sense. Okay. And I feel like, but you're communicating that, and it's like you can't
Yeah.
be mad at that.
No,
Like, it's
I'm
not
a
like
big communicator.
which
Like,
is huge. Which is because it's like different if you're just like, no, I'm not gonna do the project, and they're just like, okay, and they don't know why. Like,
right. No, yeah, I always tell everybody straightforward,
Yeah.
or like, you know, like when people ask, like I finally have gotten to the point where I will just flat out say, this is my rate, this is my kit fee.
yeah,
Let me know.
Yeah.
Like it's taken me a while, but you know, like in the beginning
Yeah.
you want these jobs, so you're like, I'll negotiate.
Right.
But I finally have gotten to a point where I'm like, no. Like in the beginning, I was a lot more open to a lot more lower budget projects and
Right.
what people were offering me, and a little
Yeah.
bit down with the haggling a
Yeah.
little bit. Like I was kind of more okay with it because at
Yeah.
the time I was like, well, I need this on my resume. Like
Yeah.
I need these photos for my
Right.
portfolio. Like, you know, I've done some TFP, which
Yeah.
is trade for print for people who don't know what that
Yeah.
means. You know, where nobody really gets paid. It's just like an exchange of service
Mm.
for, you know, portfolio work.
Right.
And I've done a
Yeah.
couple of that. I've gotten to a point though where I don't know if I necessarily accept those too hard anymore. Like
Mhm.
it depends. I think at this point I have to know you to be
Right.
willing to kind
Right.
of
Yeah. Makes
help
sense.
you out, because you know, in any industry, like, you know, you do get burned, and I've been burned a couple times.
Really?
already. Yeah.
How? Like in I
Um,
mean, yeah, no, I get people, there's so many different ways of getting burned, but it's how does it happen to you in the makeup?
So with
world?
makeup, a lot of it's a thing, like, you know, again, a lot of people don't understand how
Yeah.
much of this product and our time goes into
Right.
it. Like it's
Yeah.
a lot, it's messy, there
I
are long
know.
days, it's
I know.
super, you know, people don't realize that. And
and
I
you're
think
constantly reapplying and like on standby, ready to like,
on standby
know,
constantly, yeah.
especially
Like,
if they're like drinking or eating in the same.
oh my god, I hate when I do a lipstick
I
and
hate when
someone
they
picks
eat.
up their drink. I'm like, no,
Like, don't eat, please.
That's
Don't
why
write any
I
scenes where
always
people are
try to
eating
make
your
sure
drink.
they have like a straw, because I'm like,
That's
"Ugh." Yeah, straws are good.
I
Straws
literally use straws like all the time, like metal straws, because
Yes.
the environment.
help. Yes, ma'am.
But yeah, I always have my metal straws because I hate getting lipstick on the rim of the cup. I'm like,
Same.
ugh,
Stresses me out. It's
stresses
so
me out.
gross.
I like don't want to see it.
Yeah,
Especially
no, I basically kind of have gotten to a point where when it comes to stuff like that,
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm not over TFP, because I'll
Yeah.
never be over TFP. Like,
Yeah.
it's gonna help, but
Yeah,
I have to kind of remember those past experiences and grow from them. And
that's
at
the only way
their-
to learn.
at
Yeah.
like, you know, bare minimum at most, I'll say like I can do this for like a kit fee. Like I won't charge you my hourly,
Wow,
but like if I could
that's
at
even
least
that
get
is so like, is that
Yeah.
like, have you done that for friends or
yeah,
like,
no, there's this girl I work with a while ago. We did a shoot and she just
Mhm.
asked me for a little bit of help. It wasn't necessarily based on the makeup, but
Right.
she did want it done.
Yeah.
And, you know, we agreed to kind of collaborate, and, you know, she's like, I can't really offer you much, but I can offer you like money for your kit. And I was
Right.
like, I'll take it. Like, that's
That's
great.
yeah.
That's nice.
I mean, and if
'Cause
she's
in
your
the-
friend, yeah.
Yeah, in the beginning we had only originally agreed to just kind of collaborate a little bit,
Yeah.
like, you know, one-on-one, but
Right.
she's like, I understand how expensive this stuff is, so
Yeah.
I will
Yeah.
compensate you for
No,
that.
that's sweet. That's actually really nice of her, and like and you two able to like work it out, meet halfway, like
Mhm.
because I feel like you also know what projects it will be worth it and
Yeah.
not worth it, like to invest your time in and help
Yeah,
out. Like,
exactly.
because I feel like that with directing sometimes too. Like I know like I'm doing some freelance projects where it's like it's not 100% what I want, like money wise, pay wise, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm also doing it for the experience because like adding different films to your like director title, like that's just better for my resume. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? But in the moment, it's like the pay isn't necessarily like
Yeah.
you know what you expect
Yeah.
or like or studio pay. Like
Right.
when I heard like when I found out what they're getting paid in the studios, I was like, holy shit.
I
Like,
know,
oh my
yeah,
god.
when I see what other ones are getting paid, I'm like, oh my god.
Oh my
I'm
God,
so
yeah.
cheap. No, yeah, and I
I'm
don't know,
so
I've kind of gotten to a point where I don't want to be cheap anymore. And
No,
I don't
you
want to haggle
shouldn't.
with people anymore.
No,
Yeah,
it's like
I
look
have
at my website, bye.
Yeah, I have my website, and
And you have a business card, you have a website, you have a resume, portfolio. You have all of the things that everyone wants anyway in
I
the
even
industry.
have a diploma.
Honestly, I realized like no one has asked me about my diploma.
No one has asked me.
I
about my
literally was
diploma.
like, ask me like if I have a degree, and like no one has
cares.
asked me.
However, I always do kind of throw it in there because it pays to like let
Right.
people know
Yeah.
that you have been like trained for that.
Exactly.
You know why also too a lot of like where pricing comes in and where I like to haggle is I tell people like, you know, I was trained to know how to do this for you. Like this is, I'm not just some kid coming off the streets like I was like, oh, I know, I like to do it, it's fun, and I learned from YouTube, I can do it, okay job. Like I've learned all the basis of this now, like I know how to do this stuff. And, you know, there's certain things that when it comes to pricing, I'm okay with like working on lower budget projects as long as it's something that's told to me up front and we can come to an agreement. Like there's somebody that I work with pretty frequently actually where he pays me a little bit lower than usual, but because of the way he goes about it, instead of me going to grab the own products and stuff myself, he will go and he will purchase said products. So like instead of me having to buy the prosthetic, he will go buy it out of his pocket and then he'll say, this is yours, use your stuff, and then he'll pay me for that instead of, you know, and so it's a little lower, but it works out. And, you know, I make sure he was okay with that, and he is. And because he's like, you know, he's like, no, it helps me out. Trust me. Like, it helps, and, you know, and, you know, he's great. He does his own
Do you ever, like, do people come to you with, like, can we do flat rates? Like, I can't, like, do hourly. Like, is that common, or is it, like, people go with hourly?
People usually go with hourly, but flat rates do come up to me very often. Like, they'll just tell me it's, like, 200 a day, 300 a day.
Okay.
And then plus this, you know, like, I had somebody approach me not that long ago about a documentary.
Fun.
And
okay.
Yes.
I love documentaries.
Yes. So they approached me about that, and when we were in talks about that, I was referred by a friend of mine who is now in the union.
Yes.
I actually met her because she was my Lyft driver.
See, it's just in LA, you never know.
Yeah, she's my Lyft driver. She gave me her car, and she's like, hit me up when you graduate. And she's the reason I got both my commercials on my belt. I assisted her on one. She's in the union. She's freaking worked on American Horror Stories. So
I'm actually watching it because the American Horror Story is coming out like I think next week, but the Horror Stories
she's on Horror Stories.
It's like a new episode every week, and it doesn't relate to the last one, which is cool. I like it.
No, so I'm excited for that. I love that.
So that's
what the new billboard of like the like alien, the one she worked on that one.
Oh shit. Okay.
So shout out to Leia Oakley.
Nice. Yes, I love it.
So, you know, she gave me this referral, and they approached me and they said, you know, like, we would like to work with you. This is what we offered her. Does that work for you? You know, and other people will, you know, say, hey, we're interested in this project. We have a flat rate of like 300 a day, 250 a day. And you know, depending on the project, depending on the hours, sometimes I'm cool with it, you know, because usually when I agree to stuff like that, I'm not too far off what I would normally be paid.
Okay.
So
that's what I was going to say. If it's like
150 or less for the day, I probably wouldn't do it. Yeah, no, pricing is, especially, I think not only makeup, but the art department especially gets cut short and haggled so
because
much.
You know which department takes it all? It's camera. Camera gets all, because it's like, oh, we need this fancy lens, and like, oh, we need this filter.
But that's what I don't understand is the way I look at it. And you know, obviously people might say I'm biased because you're the makeup artist. Of course you're gonna say
let's hear. I want to hear.
But the way I look at it, I feel like you should pay your makeup team just as much, if not more, because or equal to camera. Because if you're gonna get that nice 4K camera there, and you got someone who does not adequate work, that nice camera is going to pick up on all that shit, on all of that shit,
all of that.
And you know, and that's not necessarily like the makeup artist's fault or anything, but even then too, like, you know, it's kind of that thing of you get what you pay for, you know, like 100%. With anything, like, you know, 100%. Like those videos are like, I went to the lowest rated makeup artist, and you know, like, you see why, like, they're imagine. Oh my god, it's like my biggest fear.
I know, like, I'm like, I might have to look up those videos after and just see like what's out there.
And like their price, and they still charge like a lot, and they get paid for that. So it's like, dude, even like the quote unquote worst rated still like get their rate. So why do the people who know what they're doing in the industry get haggled? Why is it a fight?
I think it's just a fight because people, I think it's a fight in the makeup department because people don't understand like the value of the makeup products. I mean, they should understand the time part, the service part, like, hey, I'm putting in the hourly, like, I'm like, that should be just like standard for any freelancing job. So I feel like where it gets confused is like the kit fee. Cause I know I mean, I've like heard about it and I know about it just from like doing my own like projects and productions, but I feel like a lot of the males like on set would they're just like, what's a
No.
kid fee? Like, or like even male directors or male produce, like when they're hiring makeup artists, they're just like, what's the kit fee? Like, can you just like basically like do it without
and
that?
that's a lot of things that I think is like a flaw in this industry for artists all around, not even just myself, like all makeup art, all hair artists, like you know, that's not their prices, and the way they do things isn't exactly really talked about and taught about. And I know that from experience, because I know that, you know, I know you went to New York Film Academy, as did my boyfriend. I spent a lot of time over there, like working with people,
doing the projects.
And I did you know, like a couple like demos over there, a couple plays over there, like I did some work over there for sure. And the biggest thing that I felt that was confusing is when it came time for your guys' final
like the thesis.
Sorry, that's what it's called, the thesis projects. And they suddenly were saying that you needed makeup artist, you have to pay for makeup artists and stuff, like you make a budget for makeup.
I was always so excited about getting a makeup artist. I had one like since like my first or second like they wouldn't even need a makeup artist for that first one, but I was like, I'm getting
like I need one. It's
I was
so
like, I want them to look so good.
Yes, and as they should. But they suddenly, you know, I asked my boyfriend about it, because you know, I went to a very different school, and we learn a lot about like the behind the scenes, the camera and the actors, and how that's going to work. And so I would ask, like, what do they tell you guys about us? And he was honest. He's like, nothing. He's like, it wasn't until thesis time came that they're like, you need a makeup artist. And I couldn't believe that it just went that plain. They're like, figure out a budget, and nobody knew. Nobody knew what to budget for makeup.
I know. And I was in that same boat too, because they didn't say anything like literally throughout the freaking 3 years.
Until
no one said anything until the thesis, because they're like, oh, you should have a makeup artist. Like basically like these are all the people, key heads that you're going to have to hire. And then I was like, but I had already hired like makeup artists for my previous projects. But so I kind of had like an idea, but it was always for like a lot cheaper than like what I even expected to, because I didn't know. And you know, the makeup artists were also starting out too, so they were looking for experience too, so everybody was just kind of doing each other favors at that point. But it's like, now looking back, I'm like, damn, that's crazy. Like how nobody talked about it, and then it was just like everybody was like in search of a makeup artist, like who do you know
I got a lot of people come to me, because everybody in Jacob's class, it's my boyfriend Jacob, everybody like, your girlfriend's a makeup artist, what's her info? And a lot of them would get like taken back, like, well, what do you charge? They're like, oh, okay. And because it was student films, like I did give them a disclaimer, like I'm willing to work on your budget, but I do have to make sure I'm compensated fairly, but I can work with you. Well,
I actually was going to ask you how you go about rating, like your rates about special effects makeup, because that's like prosthetics. That's, you know, like applying things different. Like that takes more time, right? So like, how do you go about that?
So my hourly rate is still the same, but my kit fee increases. My kit fee definitely increases.
By how much?
It could be, depending on how little, starting at an extra 50 up to an extra 100 to an extra 150. Like, it just depends on how extensive the project
it's like,
is.
if you're gonna need like, you know, prosthetics or something, like let's say a nose, and like you're gonna need to buy like a couple fake noses.
So it depends on how many days we're shooting. If so, then that's why it definitely increases too. If it's a 1-day shoot, I usually need to buy the one.
Just one nose?
Just one. Well, you can't reuse prosthetics typically. Like, you know,
ever.
No, you shouldn't, because, you know, once you take them off, like the edges get ripped and they're just not nearly as pretty, and it doesn't lay down as good.
Thin too, right? Because
the edges are really thin. They're meant to blend into the skin. And it looks super cool until you take it off. And then you're like, well, so when it comes to pricing with kit fee and special effects, that's where a lot of people do haggle and question and because, you know, they're like, don't understand how it's, you know, like a tiny little like slit throat prosthetics, like $38.
Oh wow.
And you know, for like at least the one I like 21 to 38 depending on how big, but even then, starting a tiny little one for $21, like one-time use and all that paint, like that's a lot of product and that's a lot of money coming out. So typically I increase it by quite a bit,
but that makes,
and then too, like usually there's a lot of different paints, and you know, like airbrushing sometimes comes into hand, because it just I love airbrushing. It's faster and it looks super nice.
So you can airbrush like regular makeup too, or is it more just
I airbrush beauty makeup and special effects makeup. Airbrush is something that
it's
I offer
not harder,
to my brides.
like it's not, I don't know, I don't know.
It's faster.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
The only thing I will say is it takes practice
Yeah.
because you know you can't like it's not as simple as blending out with a brush because it's liquid makeup, so things are a little
Does it ever like
different.
drip and then like dry?
No, unless you get
Okay.
like really close and a lot of
Okay,
air,
I
and then
felt
it
like,
will.
oh my god, I feel like I would do something like that.
No, yeah, you pretty much I kind of take it like a couple inches away from the face and
Right.
spray it from there. It's really nice actually. It's like a little fan.
I'm really interested to see how that would feel on the face and like what it looks, because I've
I
never
like
had
it.
it on. Yeah.
It's smooth, it's nice,
Yeah.
and it looks beautiful.
Oh.
It's actually really good for
Okay.
film and TV. It's great for bridal. I always offer it for bridal makeup because
Really?
it
Okay.
stays, it's long wear. It's very I mean, like obviously it gives you that airbrushed look.
Right.
And would they get airbrushed look with a lot of those like filters and editing, but if you can
Right.
get it naturally, it's so
That's
nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
How do you practice that? Like, do you airbrush on yourself or like?
I did a lot of it in school, and then
okay.
a lot of it like my line work and stuff
Mhm.
comes from like I get paper and I'll airbrush there, or
Yeah.
like I'll airbrush like detail on myself.
Wow,
Same with like
okay.
eyeliner, like I'll just kind of mess around like
Right.
line work and stuff like that. And so like if I'm sitting there watching like TV or whatever,
Yeah.
or I'm not super like invested, I could just sit there and draw myself or draw my leg a little bit,
Oh.
work on my line, work on my detail. And
Yeah.
then same with airbrush, like when we first practiced, they had us take a piece of paper
Right.
and adjust with the settings and say, okay, how is this going to work on this air setting, and what about this, and now let's try to make these movements in
Right.
this setting, and let's try to get closer, let's get further. So it's just a matter of working with the airbrush and
Okay.
practicing and then learning how to clean your airbrush.
Is that hard? Is it like a lot?
It's not hard. Well, it takes time because
Okay.
you have to get into everything and taking it apart from
Taking it
start to
apart.
finish.
Right.
That it's so stressful because there's just all the tiny little
Oh
pieces
god,
that
I'd
could
be like,
fall
"Oh,
out.
please don't.
Yeah,
don't
no,
miss
like
anything."
I'm like hovering, like I'm like nobody come in my
Nobody
freaking
come near
space
me.
right now. Like I better not ever touch my stuff. Most people don't really like haggle when it comes to special effects as much
Okay.
though, because it's a lot pricier. So they're just like, we can't do that.
We can't-
Yeah, like it's one of those things where usually they come with a flat rate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've noticed
And how
in
do
my
you-
experience.
And are the flat rates like do they make sense to like what you would charge? Like, are they in that same ballpark of what you would charge, or are you like, dude, that's so
sometimes
far
no.
off? But like,
Yeah, there was one offer I got that was really, really low, and that's when like that was the first time I ever declined a job because it was they
Wow,
wanted
yeah.
special effects for a film they were doing,
Yeah.
and I obviously hit them up. I was like, I'm interested. Like, what's your rate? Like, what's your
Right.
budget? Because it's always the first thing I ask.
yeah, of course.
And they gave me the rate, and it was so like insulting, I guess is the best word.
Wow.
It was
yeah.
really, really low, and I
Yeah.
would have had to take like a lot of time off work.
Yeah.
And I, that's when I told them like, it's not going to
It's not gonna
compensate.
work.
It's just too low.
Yeah.
And the very untypical reaction is they just hit me with the sad react on my message, and I was like,
Really?
yeah, like
sad,
they just reacted
or like
sad.
dislike, or like
It was just a sad. And I was like, I don't know what to do. Like now I feel bad, but
it's like,
well, they were only offering like $500 for a week.
yeah.
And I was like, not for special. I probably wouldn't even do that for beauty, but special
No.
effects makeup, like
no, yeah,
no.
that's so much time. How long are you spending in the chair in special effects versus like regular makeup?
Regular makeup, you're in and out a whole lot faster.
Okay.
A whole lot faster.
Like how many people could you do maybe in like an hour? Like versus the other, like I don't know if you,
it depends on how extensive it is, because there was
Okay.
one shoot where I had to get people ready for a music video.
Yeah.
And I shot them in and out, like, and
Mm-hmm.
I went through about 6 people in like 30 minutes. It was so stressful. 30 to 45
Wow.
minutes. It was so
Oh,
stressful.
shit, okay,
Luckily for a lot of it wasn't super extensive, and a
Right.
lot of it were just like men who needed like foundation. A little bit of fix on their eyebrow.
Okay,
but-
have you got what about, like when you do male makeup, or like do you ever do groom's makeup also if you do bride? Yeah.
If they want it, yeah.
Are they ever like I don't get why I have to pay this?
Usually, yeah, a
Yeah,
lot of
'cause,
them
like,
are like,
guys
I don't need makeup for that.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
some
yeah.
people, some men like it, and
Yeah.
I mean, not even from a professional standpoint, like I want to make more money. The way I look at it is, like
Right.
your wife to be is paying all this money to look
Yeah.
extra good.
For
She's gonna have
you,
all
you
this
should-
makeup on.
Right.
You'll look a
You're gonna
little
look
faded
all-
out next to her, because men hear makeup and they think it's gonna be
It's gonna
crazy.
go cakey
It's like,
and
nah,
stuff.
like we're just
Yeah.
here, we're just gonna brighten you up. So like her vibrance, you guys match.
Yeah.
That way you're not looking faded out or blocked out, which
Yeah.
you don't always have to. I'll admit you don't have to,
Right.
but I think it's nice.
It's
It looks nice.
Yeah. I definitely I think there should be like a line between, obviously you don't want him to like the groom to look like he's wearing
Right.
makeup on his wedding day, but definitely like smooth and even because you're gonna take so many photos that day. Like,
yeah,
I feel like that's the one day you probably take like over 1,000 photos. So it's
For
like, you
real.
know what I mean? Like, you want to look good in those 1,000 photos.
No, but when it comes to like special effects versus beauty, like special effects are gonna sit in the chair longer.
Yeah.
I don't like people sitting more than 2 hours though, if I can help it.
Oh, okay. That's still good though, I feel like. What's like the longest you've had to spend on like someone doing like special effects makeup?
My final project in school, they gave us the whole pretty much day.
Yeah.
And I took most of it because unfortunately that day the boyfriend, he was my subject because I mean at the time I was still like my first year. I didn't really know anybody, so it was him.
Yeah.
He had to go to work at 4, and this is when he worked for not a very good place.
Yeah.
So there wasn't really negotiable, and they weren't really just, like he told me he couldn't do it, and
Yeah.
they're like, well, we can't make that work, and they didn't tell him until like the last second. So I technically got an hour less than everybody, but I still took that like 6 out of the 7 hours. Or 6 out of the 7 to 8 hours.
Right.
So 6 hours was my longest because I had that time.
Right.
And I mean, it looked cool. I was okay with it.
I mean, but I feel like
I don't need that much time.
Okay, but it's like if you need, like, if you do need the time, take the time, right?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I haven't gotten anything that extensive, or if they say you have this long, like I know there's a lot of like big Hollywood movies, where they take hours, and that makes sense. But I haven't had that experience yet. It's usually like, like get them in and out as fast as you can, like with that,
because it's like
music video.
On the next scene, like
that music video, it was like anywhere. I said 30 to 45, but even then, I'll stretch it to like an hour just to be safe.
Yeah,
but like even then too, like to fly through that many people, like in that amount of time.
Have you ever been like, oh, you have, let's say, like 30, like, or you thought you had like an hour or 30 minutes, and then they're like, no, we need them now.
All the time, all the time,
every day.
Yeah, pretty much. When it comes to they want it yesterday.
What
if they want it? If you say you can give them 10 minutes, they want it in
8. 5. Oh,
yeah, wow. And if you say 8, they want it in 5.
Yeah.
And sometimes, if you say 10, they'll want it in 5. Even if it's something that shouldn't be executed in 5, you execute it in 5.
Yeah.
It's stressful.
Yeah. Anxiety central.
Yeah, no. A makeup department is one of the more hurry up and go type of departments. It's very, which is really weird because in real life I don't like nobody telling me nothing or giving me a time limit. It's really weird, the freaking like things we choose to do with our lives. It's usually things we don't normally like.
I know. That's so funny you said that, because I felt that with like editing, and I have to edit every week for the podcast. I'm always editing the episodes every week, and I used to hate editing in school. I'm like, I fucking hate editing.
Yeah, like,
I was like, I don't know how to do it. Like, I don't want to do it.
No, that's how I am in real life. I'm like, no, I am my own boss. No one's gonna tell me what to do.
Telling me shit.
And that's that. But on set, they're like, we need it in 5 minutes. I'm like, all right,
like,
got you. Like, it's a little ass backwards.
But no, I love it. So for the most part, you've had pretty like smooth sets, like no problems, like dealing with like pricing or rates, like on actual set, because you've already dealt with it before.
Yeah, it's always beforehand, beforehand where the problems come in.
Okay.
At least in my experience. I'm sure that there's been people out there who have experienced like price changing while on set, but
that would be so messed up. I hope that we never experience that.
Manifest not that happening.
That's just like even if like it's like a 12-hour shoot and then like it ends at like 11 hours, like just pay the full 12 hours.
Yeah.
It's like, just be you said in the contract, you said you're going to get paid for 12 hours. Like,
and I've had that happen actually, where
really,
like we finished early and they were just like, no, we're still going to pay you for the full day. We're not really going to change that. So, good. And that's how it should be. That's, because
a good production will do that. They'll take care of you and they'll do that. Someone that's trying to like, lowball you or not really, or doesn't really appreciate you or respect you like that, they'll just
I can understand if it's like some magical way you finish like 2-3 hours early. I can understand cutting that down, but if it's like 30 to an hour early, just pay the full fee. Just like you might as well. It's not that far off.
It's not.
No, I'm super big on that. Is always my first question and always the first thing I discuss is rates.
And do you get paid right after the production, or do you do like half? Or like a deposit? Like, how do you go about that?
It depends on the project. Typically that's usually up to the production company and how they disperse. A lot of people say you'll get it like, if you're doing more I don't want to say like not legit, because we're all legit here.
Right.
But if you're not under like a genuine production company, a lot of them will just pay you cash that day, and like, I'm not gonna be mad about it.
I know.
You know, I'm not gonna be mad. Some people, if you get a real check, however, which I have done through production companies where you have to go on a payroll. Yeah, it will take about.
I was like, what is this?
Right? Like, they handed me a W-2.
Yeah, I was like, what?
I was like, wow, I'm out here working.
Yeah,
I got
like,
a W-2.
This is like a big girl job.
Yeah, exactly. Like, am I grown up?
I know. I literally experienced that recently too. I was like, what? Like, because I'm always used to just like getting Zelle or Venmo or cash,
same.
You know, like very freelance style.
Yeah, exactly.
But then I did like one like commercial thing, and it was like, you know, fill in your time card or whatever. It was like so formal. I was like,
when I did a documentary, it's like all online. Like, you need to log in your times and your time out, and I was like,
yeah, you're like, what is this?
Like, oh my God, this is a real job.
Yeah,
like,
this is a real production.
It's a real job. Yeah, no, but that's always something I think go about, is like rates are, I don't go into anything without knowing a rate.
That's good.
Ever.
Yeah, it's like you're never questioning, like, how am I going to get paid? Or how much am I going to get paid? It's like, you know.
And that's something I cover in meeting, because obviously there's something you have to meet up in. That's like, you know, what's your budget? What is the pay rate? And then when can I expect to be paid? And I used to be so nervous about asking. And sometimes I still get a little nervous.
Honestly, I get that too, though. Like, especially, honestly, it's like when you kind of know the person. Because, like, slowly, like, when you start working in the film world, like, everyone kind of, like, knows each other a little bit, like, somehow. Yeah. So it's, like, kind of like, am I asking for too much, or am I not?
Well, yeah,
and it's like, how much are they getting? But then it's like when you're on set, it's like, but how much are they getting paid? You know what I mean? It's like,
it's kind of like a regular day job where like you agree to something and then you come in, you're like, how much are you getting paid? Are you getting paid more than me? Because if you are, we're gonna have a problem. But I mean, I understand like certain budget has to go to certain things, but that's why I think a lot of it, like going back to the whole, most of it goes to camera. I think most of it, I mean, I get why it does, but also I think, you know, a lot of it should also go to your art team.
Yes.
Like, and not even just like makeup, but like, you know, your wardrobe and your, you know, props. Like, that's all art department.
Production design, all that.
Like art department is kind of like not necessarily looked past, I would say, but I've noticed that people, especially on the lower budgets, we're kind of lower on the totem pole sometimes if it's not very makeup centric.
Right.
Like for, you know, a lot of movies where like makeup is like the main, you know, like stuff with like Marvel, the characters, the way they look, and like a lot of horror movies and a lot of like movies, like even comedy movies where they have to like transform into something crazy. Like, that's a lot of the budget goes there because it's part of the point.
What do you think of Euphoria? Like the makeup in that. Have you seen that show?
I haven't seen it, but I have seen photos of it coming online.
Because I heard that like glitter's not like that's kind of like a no-no in the film world, right?
Yeah. So we don't like glitter.
Yeah.
We
so
hate glitter.
Yeah, I was surprised that it did so well though, because like it's literally all glitter.
I've seen photos, but since I haven't seen the show, of course, since it's been such a big talk about the use of glitter, I have seen it all on my feeds. I'm shocked that it worked out the way it did. It looks great. Yeah. It looks great.
No, I was like, damn, it looks actually really nice on screen. But, and I'm like, I wonder if like there's a specific kind of glitter she used. Like
probably. Yeah. There's all kinds of glitter. I like to use a specific kind that I use on my day-to-day, but even then it just kind of sits in my drawer because sometimes I'm like, I don't know if I feel like handling this today. Well, because the glitter is so
messy.
It's messy.
It's so messy.
It's hard to get it off. Like, it's not as simple as like, you know, you get a little shadow fall out, you brush it off. You're gonna sit there.
I actually
you're gonna pick and pull.
Had like a little like glitter phase like back like 4 years ago.
Don't we all have our glitter
when
phase?
I first moved here, I was like, oh my god, like glitter with my outfit's gonna look so good. So I tried like the whole glitter eyeshadow thing. And it would get like, it would like kind of like rub off, and then it would get like here, and then it would be so hard to get off right here.
Yeah, and then there's a piece stuck like right here that just won't come off.
It just looks like shit. It's like, this fucking glitter like right here.
Yeah, no, whoever worked on Euphoria, I give them all the props because they did a great job.
Yeah,
I actually recently went down part-time to my day job.
Nice.
So I'm only on about 2 days, 3 days. Wow, because I'm trying to dedicate way more time to makeup artistry.
When you look for jobs, are you like, is it snowballing from like your previous jobs, or is it like you're just applying to like a lot of jobs, or like how is that?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
Because a lot of people hit me up repeatedly because they, you know, they know me, they work with me.
They've worked on you.
You know, I've had a couple people tell me that I'm pretty much like their go-to makeup artist, so I will work with those people over and over. But then sometimes when you have like but sometimes that will fall into, hey, I applied for this job. Are we going to work together? Yes or no? And if we do, then I've worked with them, and therefore I've expanded my network. And usually on set, I always meet somebody, at least one person that I like
Love it.
exchange a number with and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, that's good for people to hear too, because I feel like, especially after COVID, or COVID's still technically here, not
Right.
after COVID.
After quarantine.
I know. I keep wanting to say after COVID, but I'm like, no, like
it's alive.
If anything,
it's alive and well.
It's worse, if anything,
Mhm.
right? I'm like, it's back. She never left.
Period.
No, I feel like, especially like this whole thing with COVID happening, and like, you know, people losing their jobs, and like jobs being on hold and everything. It's just like nice to hear like different ways on like how to apply yourself to get work, especially freelancing, because it's so hard.
It's a lot of your own work.
Already in general, to get work in the film industry is not the easiest. Like, you know, it's like when people hear you say like, oh, I'm gonna work in the film industry, it's like, so like you're a starving artist.
Yeah,
like that's literally what comes to mind,
stigma,
right?
Yeah.
But at the end, it's like no one's trying to be a starving artist. Like obviously we want to like make money doing something that we're passionate about. Like that's like the ideal like thing. But
and that's exactly why, you know, it's important that, you know, you gotta be firm about your rates,
but also put yourself out there too.
That's why sometimes it's okay to maybe do things a little bit lower budget, but also if it's something like everybody gives the same pitch, like this is gonna change the world, this is gonna be, you know, just like a
you're like, I literally heard this speech yesterday.
Everybody gives the same speech, but you have to sit there and think about, is it really worth negotiating my rate for? And even if you come to the conclusion that yes it is, there are some times where it still unfortunately may not work out, but that's part of taking that risk with freelance. And even then, usually you always have to say you always get something out of it, like you learn something or you've met somebody, because you know, like not everybody is gonna screw you over and like be mean or do you dirty, but at the end of the day, sometimes you got to take those risks with your rates, and sometimes it works out, you know, like there's a couple times where like, you know, you give a rate and you're so nervous and you're like, okay, I charge this and I add this on, and then people just hit you back with the, all right, cool, and you're like okay, but then there comes that hit of, damn, I could have charged more then probably, huh?
Like
if they were that quick to say yes to it, I could have charged more.
On, like with other people, like have you like talked to other makeup artists and be like, hey, like what do you charge, and kind of work off that, or do you just like
a little bit? On my own? Unfortunately, I don't have too many makeup artist friends too much. I don't really know too many of them. But a lot of us, depending on what we do, they charge pretty similarly. So far, people have said my hourly rate's good, not bad, it's reasonable. And a lot of them charge similarly, depending on how like long they've done it and whatnot. Like, but you know, for somebody, I know I'm going on 3 years now, I think, right? 2019.
I know. I'm like, what year?
I'm like, I don't know. Like 2020 messed up everything.
Also, prices went up a lot. Everything's really expensive right now. Like flights. I don't know why, like flights just like
they went all the way
skyrocketed up, and then gas. It's so fucking expensive to do a road trip too. It's like,
but see, people don't go to the gas station and haggle. They don't go to the airports and haggle. So don't haggle me.
That's true.
Don't haggle me.
I know there's just like some jobs where people like, it's a freelancing job, but people won't like haggle you. They're like, okay, like they accept it. But then there's just some jobs where it's like people
you gotta go back and
fight
forth
to the death to get a lower price.
Yeah, no, they will. And some people will even try like, well, didn't you do it for this much last time? Like, can you honor that price? I get that. And people, and I will tell them like,
what do you say? Like, sorry, I've just, you know, like
typically what it is I'm gonna be honest, every time they've said that,
that would kind of piss me off.
It gets me annoyed. I'm not gonna lie.
Like, I feel like that would make me not want to give them a deal at all now.
Well, every time they say that, 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna be honest, it's usually because of like, well, you charged this much last time. It's like, because I did less last time.
Right.
Like, I can't honor that same price if you're asking me for more work.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry, but I can do the exact same thing they did last time for the same price. I can honor that there.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to do all these add-ons. I mean,
it's
that's like the one thing.
You'll spend money so carelessly on like the most random. Like, think about like Amazon. You just like your Amazon purchases. So careless, so random. You're like, oh, that looks cool, I'm going to buy that. But then it's like for a service that like someone's putting in the hours to work, and it's like they're using that money to pay their bills as well. Yeah. And then you're going to like try to make them feel bad about it. It's just like,
well, and it's always that thing, you know, the unfortunate thing about working in the art department with makeup is, you know, the good thing about other areas of work is like, you know, if you're the videographer, the cinematographer, and people start to haggle you could just flat out say, I'm not giving you this product until you give me my pay. I can't do that. Right. Once I've applied the makeup, it's done. I could take a makeup wipe and smudge it, but then there's still a loss of my product. Yes. Like, sure, I could take it off for you. I could say I'm not finishing this, but I've already like given you my product.
I
I've
know,
already
it's
given
not
you
fair.
my time.
Yeah.
It's not that easy for me
No.
where I can say, you know, if it's a contract thing, I could say, you know, like in the contract, you know, like I've stated that I need to be paid my deposit by this time. And if I don't get it, then, you know, we can't move forward. It's in the contract.
Yeah.
But up until then, like once I start, there's nothing I could do.
Right.
Which is why you always set your rates beforehand.
And that way there's no confusion.
And even when people start, you know, like I know that a lot of people will wait to a finished product and then suddenly start, oh yeah, you know, by the way, like we're having some issues.
No.
And,
God.
And
if I started hearing that like mid, like, you know, like doing blush or like finishing up, like whatever, I'd be like, I'm about to like mess up your face.
Right, be like, we're stopping here, then I hear.
Yeah, like, oh, we got a problem?
Yeah.
My hand just really
it's broken. It's broken. Like you see, I can't use it. Yeah, no, that's just the one. That is the one thing I will say that's hardest about, because at least like people who are like in charge of the sound or in charge of the camera, like they can sit there and say, I'm gonna withhold.
They can hold the foot. Yeah,
I can't hold anything. That's really hard. But I mean, it's been something that I've struggled with a lot more recently, especially now that things are coming back, and you know, it's gotten to a point where people are ready to work with makeup again. And, you know, of course I get the really awesome people who like I just tell them and they're like, great, no problem. Like, you know, it's a good balancing act. Yeah. But it's
good that it like, it shows you like both sides. Cause like you're gonna have those nice clients that are like, yeah, that's a great rate. We'll work with that. No problem. And you're gonna have those people that are gonna be like, no, like, can you do it? It's just always gonna be there. I think like it's just part of the job.
Yeah. 110%.
I feel like I'm gonna have to like deal with that too, directing wise. Like, you know, people are gonna always try to get a better deal.
It gets frustrating and it gets a little awkward.
Yeah,
for sure.
But
at the end of the day, you know, I learned that I really have to start valuing myself and what I do.
And
like
time.
I don't think I'm a bad
makeup
makeup
so
artist.
Valuable, honestly, and I've learned that, like, especially during COVID too. Like, I'm just like, time is so precious. Like, don't waste your time doing or working on something that you don't really want to work on.
Exactly.
Like, if it's just like, don't do something just for the money and like you're not gonna be happy. Like, do whatever the fuck you want that makes you happy. And like put your foot down on things. Don't let people like step on you. Like, honestly,
exactly. And that's why, you know, like I said, like I've gotten to a point where I'm like, I don't think I'm a bad makeup artist. Am I perfect? No, I don't think there's any perfect makeup artist out there.
Even there's like some the best of the best makeup artists, they still make mistakes. They still crack under pressure. Yeah, they have their off days. Like, even if you watch those makeup competition shows, which I love.
I love those too.
Like for example, like Glow. I think it's Glow or Glow Up or something on Netflix. It's just like they say like, oh, we're picking the best of the best, or like really popular makeup artists have like millions of like followers on Instagram, right? And even they have had like their shitty like days, and it fucks up the whole process of the makeup. And like they're like, this was like my worst work, like, you know, and like their Instagram even shows like the best of the best, but it's like sometimes under pressure, working on like a time crunch, like it just it happens, but you just you learn and you live, right? And you learn.
And even then, like one bad time doesn't mean that you're not worth your rate, you know. Even a handful of bad times, you know. If it's every single time, then maybe you should maybe think about it. But yeah, you know, I've had rough days. I've had some stuff that didn't look good, and you know, as artists, we all go through feeling like this is my worst work. I hate this, and I'm not made for this. But at the end of the day, you know, we have to remember that we are worth what we charge, and there's a reason we charge what we charge. Like we have to just be firm about it. And it happens to all of us outside of art. It doesn't even just happen to makeup. It doesn't just happen to props or hair. It happens to everybody. It happens to starting out actors, starting directors, starting producers, like everything. Nobody.
Like, no, I'm a victim of this.
It happens to everybody, especially crew, because you know people don't really know how much work it takes to make a movie if they're not on the industry.
No, they're just like, oh, don't you have a camera? Can't you just
shoot
up the camera? We go somewhere, and then it's like, just have like your friend, like, you know, put lipstick on, and like that's what they think it is. And it's like, oh no, it's like there's a lot of like downtime. You're waiting, you're doing the same scenes over and over.
Well, that's what a lot of people say though too. They're like, you do a lot of work and then you just sit there, like what you still charge what you charge. Like, well, I'm dedicating my entire day my entire day
it's like this. Even if you're not like actually doing the makeup for 12 hours, it's like you're still sitting there and like taking away time that you could be working somewhere else or doing something else. So it's like, even though it's not constantly like 12-hour labor, it's like you're still
taking away time from your day.
And you're still at work, if you go and show up on the clock and all you do is, even if you're a receptionist and you just sit there and you do that, if your stuff is done, they have you wait till people come in, you still get paid.
Yeah.
So why is it different for people in film? Exactly. If you get paid to show up for a meeting, you're just sitting there.
Right.
You still get paid. So why can't we get paid?
Exactly. No, I think it's fair. I totally feel like this is something that needs to be talked about more too, because everyone's going through it. Everyone, and I feel like everyone feels uncomfortable asking like, okay, like this is how much I think I'm worth, especially when you're still starting out and like you're still figuring it out. Obviously, maybe in like 2-3 years when we have more experience, we might not feel this like anxiety or like pressure of like, oh, I don't know if I can ask for that. But like as of right now, it's like we feel that, but at the same time, it's like your worth, and and
we're both like 3-4 years in now, and I think once you come around that time, you start to recognize like you have a system, and you realize like, oh, I don't have to put up with bullshit. Like I do not have to put up with this bullshit. I can keep going.
Exactly.
And I think it's important because we've all been lowballed, we've all been burned, we've all been having these experiences, and a lot of freelancers especially, like that's kind of why I wanted to talk about it too, because it's a lot more prominent in freelance, because there's nobody backing you. It's you're one person. Like I get so mad at myself because I'm like, girl, why are you so understaffed? Like who told you to do this? Like
I feel that with the podcast sometimes. I'm like, shit, like I'm like I literally do everything. I'm just like, oh
come
my
on,
God.
you are the boss, the accountant, you are the employee, you are the freaking stocks, like you're everything.
The makeup says everything, the stylist, the hairdresser, like everything involved.
Like no wonder I'm charged what I charge. I'm doing a lot of work behind the scenes, and you know what? I don't get paid for what I do behind the scenes. I don't get paid for
prep.
Putting together my prep. I don't get paid for putting my kit together, like going to the store beforehand. I don't get paid for putting my mood boards together or anything.
Which I honestly think should be part of the process, because I felt like that too. Like I was getting paid for the days I was working on set, which are 3 days.
Right.
But it didn't seem fair to like the amount of work that I was putting in before the shoot days.
Yeah,
like the
outside
prep,
of like work.
the shot list. Like even if it's a short film, like it's still like 10 shots per scene at least. Like, and that's if I'm trying to be like, on a conservative side.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like you're still putting in that time. Then you have to break down the script. Then you have to literally like you're the whole creative visual person of the film. So it's like you're putting in that work, you're casting, like
and all these
and
meetings.
then you're rehearsing with the actors as well. It's like you're not necessarily getting paid for that always when you're freelancing. In a studio, 100% you're getting paid for that. Like they're taking care of you. No one's going to do anything without getting paid. Unfortunately, that's the mindset on like a studio like thing, but everyone's just like, I've done my work, like I deserve this, right?
And that I thought it is fair too, because it's like that's a lot of our free time outside as well.
And when I think about it, I'm like, no, like I need to quote myself higher, because like I'm still putting in extra time, even though people on set aren't seeing it. But it's like, how did this whole like creative product, how did it come together? Right.
Yeah, like I packed my kit, I brought my stuff, I unloaded it, I looked through
when you go shopping and have to go spend time in traffic to buy those like products and stuff, it's like,
and that's money beforehand, because of course like the kit fee will replenish that later, because of course some of it will go into like an account for that specifically, but there's time where I have to go get it before I get paid. Especially like stuff that just naturally needs to be there, like my 99% alcohol and my brush cleaner. My brush cleaner is like $40 period. My brush cleaner is like $40.
Oh wow.
And it lasts, but still that's $40. And I can't work for you if I don't have clean brushes.
Exactly. No, it's now that I think about it, I'm like, prep needs to be like included in that. And you should just even say like, this is my like daily rate, or hourly rate, but prep is so and so.
Right. Like
I feel like I'm gonna start having to add that in there, because
I think you should.
The more I think about it, I'm like, what am I doing? You know what I mean?
You absolutely
like,
should.
Even like you're going to the location scouts, you're making sure like the locations are like fitting to the script, fitting to the story.
That's work.
That's all time.
At a day job, if if our managers go and have to buy something outside of the store, that's still counts as their job.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you gotta spend money to make money, and sometimes you gotta.
And sometimes you gotta put in the fucking work.
You gotta put in the
even
work
get it
for
done.
no pay sometimes.
Yeah.
In the beginning, yeah. Not
Then
now,
they're
not so much. But
After I graduated, I'm like, I have a degree now. Like, I'm getting paid.
exactly,
I'm like, I am not doing any free work. Sorry.
Exactly.
But no, I think this was a great episode. If you want to throw out any social media stuff or your websites, people can like follow you, hire you for future productions.
Yes. Yeah. And you guys know my rates now.
Yes. No surprises there.
No
right?
surprises here. I mentioned it. Yeah. No, you can follow me on Instagram, FX period and reality.
Yes.
And my website is missyandrea.weebly.com.
Ooh.
I'm buying the domain soon.
I love it. Yes, you gotta. Well, give her a follow and stay up to date with her. And we'll see you guys next week.